Hey everybody, Melon here. Hope you're all doing well today. Welcome to part one of my end of year peripheral roundup I'm doing on the channel. So this video is going to be covering all the mouse pads I've used this year, and the next video is going to be covering all my mice. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do kind of end of year thoughts on all the stuff I've used this year. If you guys have any questions about the products or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll have links to the stuff in the description in case you guys want to check some of them out, because some of them are pretty cheap and they're pretty awesome. But regardless, let's just get right into it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alrighty, first on the list we have the Aqua Control Plus by Xray. Now this is a hybrid surface control pad, which I've used for almost 2+ years with some pretty heavy usage on it. And this pad, I will give huge props to Xraypad. This pad has survived a lot. Extremely heavy use, well, cats plus high humidity. This pad has held up insanely well. I've been really happy with it. It was expensive, especially trying to get into Canada, just because Canada import fees are pretty rough, but the pad itself is 100% worth the money, which I've been very happy with. The only reason I stopped using it is, number one, it was a little too big for my current desk setup, so I ended up switching off to a slightly smaller pad. Second off, unfortunately, due to the age of the pad, it has finally, after like 2 years, developed some slow spots, unfortunately, which is a little annoying, because right over here it's a little slow, over here is a little slow, so which is very unfortunate. But I will say, for around 40-50 Canadian dollars plus import fees, obviously, having a pad that lasted 2 years is really nice. So this is a great pad. Again, if you can get this for MSRP, I highly recommend it. It's a really good beginner pad, especially if you're playing like tack shooters and that kind of stuff. Really good pad. Just unfortunately it hasn't held up too well for me, and Canada import fees are so high I cannot get another one for a good price, so I had to retire it. But again, overall a very good pad, very happy with it, just kind of aged out. Alrighty, next up we have the Xraypad Minerva. Now the Xraypad Minerva is kind of the opposite of the Aqua Control Plus, where the Aqua Control Plus is that hybridized control based surface. This is a cloth pad, which makes the speed a lot better. The glide is very smooth, whereas on the Aqua Control Plus it's a little rougher for the control. It has really good stuff, no slow spots or anything that developed in this mouse pad, which is really nice. The only problem with this mouse pad is the base. Now I don't know why, for some reason the base has just become insanely slippery over time. I don't know if it's dust, I don't know what it is. I have washed it, I have done everything I can, and this base is still insanely slippery. So slippery, in fact, where I could literally put my hand on a mouse, and if I press down too far when I'm moving my mouse pad, I can actually shift the entire mouse pad. Now it's pretty good today because it seems to be more heavily based on humidity, what makes it better or worse. But for that reason alone, I can't really recommend the pad. Also, it was, again, very expensive because of import fees, and there are just better cloth pads on the market at the time. When I got this originally, it was kind of like one of the only cloth pads you can kind of get realistically for a good price. Nowadays, that's completely different. So I can't really recommend the Minerva, where, as I said, where I can recommend the Aqua Control Plus, unfortunately, just because of the random issues with it. But still, I'm glad I got it and I tried it out, but just not a good fit for me. All right, next up, we have the PulsarGG ParaControl XL V1. Now, I bought this mouse pad as a replacement for my failing Aqua Control Plus because it was shown as a control pad. I was like, oh, okay, this seems like a good replacement. It's a little better sizing wise. Unfortunately, this mouse pad is terrible. There's a lot of problems with this one. Number one, the glide is insanely scratchy. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm currently using rounded PTFE stock skates on my Death Adder V3 Pro. It's still scratchy. Even if I use like a special skate on like an old SteelSeries Sensei 10 that isn't rounded, it's still scratchy. They literally feel the same. I don't know what it is about this mouse pad. It's not like it's like a rough surface that's made for controlling. It's like, it almost feels like you're playing on like really fine grit sandpaper. Even when I had Super Glides, those glass mouse skates, I had those on my Zowie Outset AX, and this pad was unusable with those. I don't know what it is about this pad. I don't know if it's the coating, or maybe it's a QC problem, maybe the stitching of how they did it. I don't know. I know it is a hybrid surface similar to the Aqua Control, but this one just did not work well, unfortunately. So I just really did not like this pad. I'm really disappointed with it. I will say though, Pulsar does make good products. I think this is the first version of their mouse pad, and it was pretty bad. I think their second one, because they released a V2 that has a proper cloth surface. It's not a hybrid, and with like a better stitched edge and that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming the second one's a lot better than the first one. But I could have just gotten a bad unit, but this unit was just not a good one, unfortunately. It kind of reminds me of like a a Zowie GSR, but like, which is kind of like a mud pad, but like a scratchy mud pad, if that makes sense. So unfortunately, this one was a big L for me, and I ended up moving on to another pad. I also had issues with fraying on the side, like if you can see here. Like the stitching on the side is fraying already, and I think I used this pad for maybe a month, 2 months tops. So quality pretty bad. I can't really recommend this one, unfortunately, but again, I'm glad I tried it out, but it's just not a good fit for me. Alrighty, and now onto a very familiar mouse pad, which those of you who've been following the channel for a long time will most likely recognize. This is the VAXEE PA ZYGEN. Now, VAXEE was kind of an odd company. I found out about a little while ago. I actually have one of their mice, the Outside X, which I'll be covering on my mouse review video. VAXEE makes really good products, and I love this mouse pad so much. Now, the really great things about this one is it's a very simple cloth top, foam based mouse pad with a good kind of bottom grip. Like, it doesn't move too much. It's pretty nice, feels good, an easy glide on the hands, really just a buttery smooth glide, whereas like the Xraypad Minerva where I guys showed you was kind of slow. This one is just so it's like nothing. It feels so good, but it feels like you have control with it at the same time, which is what these cloth pads should feel like. Now I've used this pad for a lot. The reason why I stopped using it is unfortunately because my cat Garbage decided to use this as a scratching pad. I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the camera, but here and here and here there are claw marks where he has torn the fabric, and I kind of managed to stuff the fabric back down, but unfortunately sometimes when I go over it with a cursor, especially with the for some reason this mouse is really bad with it. I kind of have like a little weird jitters with it, so I had to retire this mouse pad, and unfortunately I can't get a new one because again it's very hard to get these mouse pads into Canada for a good price. Last time I ordered this I got dinged like $80 for a mouse pad and a mouse. So thank you, Canada import fees. But again, unfortunately, it is a really good mouse pad, and I still used it for a long time even with the damage. But I can't get another one. I would totally get another one if I could, but I can't justify paying like $200 for a mouse pad. That's crazy. But if you're looking for a good just standard cloth pad, and you can get it for MSRP, highly recommend the VAXEE PA. The only thing I would love to see with the PA, if I had to change anything, I would like to see a stitched edge. For some reason, these kinds of edges here, especially if you're playing high sense, it can be kind of nice having a kind of like a feedback of like, oh, I'm hitting the edge of the mouse pad instead of it just falling over. So stitched edge would be nice to see in the future, but regardless, this is a really good pad. Highly recommend this one. I just wish my cat didn't use it as a scratching post. Alrighty, now on to another favorite mouse pad of mine. This is the IKEA LÄNSPELARE gaming mouse pad. Now, this mouse pad flew really under the radar at the beginning of the year. IKEA just kind of threw this out there and no one really knew about it until a couple people kind of pinged on it. I actually was one of the early adopters of this pad, and this pad is insanely good. Now, I went from the VAXEE PA to this, and I got this pad because I was like, oh, it look and feels similar to the VAXEE PA, so I'll just try this out for a little while. Man, I was right. So there's a lot of positives to this mouse pad. Basically, so it's a very thick pad, as you can kind of see here. It is a thick pad. It kind of reminds me of like a SteelSeries QCK, if that makes sense, but with a better top. Really nice base, very grippy. You can't move it a lot. It does not move by itself, even with like low or high humidity. It doesn't matter. The pad is really thick and really durable. You can press down on it and it kind of feeds back, which is nice. The glide, again, kind of like the PA, is very smooth. It is a little more control focused just because it's like a stitched cloth surface, so it's a little more control focused, but it still is very nice. Overall, the quality is insanely high. The only issues I've had has been up at the very top here. There has been a little bit of fraying, but this is because I think I had this mouse pad facing this way and I have an arm sleeve, so my arm sleeve is constantly rubbing up against it. But this is the original one I purchased probably 6 months ago, and I probably used it for about 4 to 5 months, and this pad has held up incredibly well. The best part about this pad, though, that is just insane, is that this pad is $20 Canadian, which is like, I think that's like 14 USD, which is disgustingly cheap for a pad of this quality. Now, SteelSeries, the QCK, if you want to get a QCK, it's gonna run you about 39 CAD, where this guy is 20. And you can get them everywhere. I actually bought a bunch of them because I enjoyed this pad so much, and everyone was memeing on me for using an IKEA mouse pad. Because like, oh, it has to be shit. No. This thing is goated as hell. If you can get an IKEA mouse pad, buy them and buy an extra one, because these pads are actually insanely good. Now, again, my one gripe with this mouse pad is that it doesn't have a stitched edge, which I'm going to forgive here because, again, the price point is so low. And even the fraying up here, I can forgive that as well, because it's $20. Like, if it was like a $50 mouse pad, I'd be a little more picky about stuff, but it's $20. Like, there's no brainer. Like, it's really, like, you can't go wrong with this one. Now, I should make a quick note here. There are two versions of the land spear. There is the smaller one, the 36 by 44, and then there is a larger 40 by 90. Don't buy the larger 40 by 90 pad with the decal on it, because that's a different coating, a different surface layer that is not as good. Buy the smaller one, even though it is kind of a little bit of an awkward size. The smaller one has the much better topping. But yeah, no. But again, if you can get yourself an IKEA pad, these are amazing. I highly recommend this one. It just right now, because everyone knows about them, they're impossible to get. But if you can get one in the future, it'd be cool to see. And again, IKEA, if anyone from IKEA is watching this video, Stitched Edge, you guys have the best mouse pad on the budget mouse pad on the market, hands down. Alrighty, and last but certainly not least, we have my current main pad and one of the pad I've been using the most as of recently, which is the HyperX Pulsefire pad. Now, I had heard about this pad about in mid of 2021. I kind of heard rumors of a new HyperX mouse pad coming out in the Pulsefire range, and since I enjoyed the Pulsefire mouse itself so much, I was very interested in this pad. So I took a look around, and it finally got up into Canada as of a couple months ago, and I decided to give this guy a shot. And this is a really good mouse pad. So price is around $25 to $30 Canadian. Very cheap, kind of not as cheap as the IKEA pad, but still up there in quality. It is a cloth surface. However, the cloth surface kind of feels more like a hybridized texture, kind of similar to what the Aqua Control Plus felt like. But it is very smooth. Very smooth, had good control. There's no slow spots. I've had no issues with quality or anything on this pad. It has a stitched edge, which is, again, I'm really happy about. And another really cool feature about this pad is that it has this really interesting kind of cell-shaped design on the bottom, and which actually kind of helps with the grip, because dust and stuff will fit into the grooves where the pads aren't there, which makes this mouse pad again really sticky, kind of how like the bottom of the IKEA pad was kind of textured. Same thing here. So again, but it's overall I've been really happy with this pad. I'm actually honestly really surprised that HyperX put out a mouse pad so good, because I know their previous mouse pads were very hit or miss, especially the Fury. I know some people loved it and some people hated it. This mouse pad has been like universally, everyone's been pretty happy with it. I myself have been very happy with it. Right now, like, this year has been a tie between the IKEA pad and this for me, because I like the IKEA pad and I also like this, and this has a stitch edge, but I like the glide of the IKEA pad a little better. But I've been maining this as of right now just because of stitch edge, and I don't know why I'm so focused on the stitch edge, but I like it. But again, this is a really good mouse pad. If you can get it, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a mouse pad to get in late 2022, early 2023 for just starting out, or just you want to try some new stuff, HyperX Pulsefire Pad Large or the IKEA pad are like the two go-tos. I honestly wouldn't even bother with anything else in the market, because these are like probably the two best budget pads you can get right now for your money.